So John Harbaugh is set to be the new head coach for the New York Football Giants. Of course, nothing's official yet, but they are finalizing a deal to get that done. And of course, we're going to talk about a couple of other head coaching vacancies, but that one to me was really interesting. Obviously, that news broke as of last night. And as stated, we'll talk more about that. But again, I want to talk about some of the other bigger vacancies that are actually out there, namely that of the Atlanta Falcons, which I believe was one of the first interviews that Harbaugh took. And interestingly enough, that would have been as good a landing spot for Harbaugh as any. You got incredible talent, including Michael Penix Jr. here, but you've also got the likes of Bijan Robinson. You got AJ Terrell, amongst so many others. Drake London. I mean, the list actually goes on, and they're going to actually have themselves a shot at a decent pick. Not probably one of the better picks, but I believe it's going to be top 15 at least, if I recall correctly. So, to me, whoever ends up getting that Falcons job has themselves a really, really good situation. Incredible talent on both sides of the ball, as mentioned, and the front office is going to be a real interesting one to see. As we talked about before, they actually hired some consulting firms, two consulting firms to be exact. One, excuse me, to hire the new head coach, but also one to hire the new general manager. So you got both of those spots being filled. I gotta believe that whichever way they wind up going with either of those openings, it's it's got to be a hit because again there's just too much talent, and I think under the right kind of leadership the Falcons could very much mess around and become a contender, and it'll be almost as if nobody saw it coming. And for me, as long as you got Michael Penix Jr. especially healthy, it it's going to be really, really tough to beat the Falcons in the long run. So again, depending on the coaching staff and the general manager that they bring in, I'd say look out for the Dirty Birds again. That being said, we're going to move into another major opening with the head coaching vacancies, and that's going to be that of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And of course, Art Rooney had his press conference the other day talking about, well, he's actually still preaching what a lot of people refer to as Tomlinisms, which, of course, the standard is a standard. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's understandable. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers, tied with the New England Patriots for the most Super Bowl wins of any franchise in the league right now. It's 6. It's hard to disagree. So hopefully, whoever they're able to bring in, they can bring in someone good. Interestingly enough, there was some talk on, I want to say NFL Live yesterday, where it was Mina Kimes that brought up a very, very interesting idea. And a lot of Packers fans may or may not like this. I don't know. It depends on who you are out there in Dairyland. I don't know very many Packers fans, so I haven't really heard too much from them. But if we get any Packers fans in the comment section, let me know what y'all think down below. But of course, Mina Kimes, she talked about the notion of Matt LaFleur not having his deal with the Packers extended, and I gotta say it is taking a little bit longer than it should. And if they're not careful, this man may come in and swoop through, pick that dude up. But not only that, something else that I believe it was Dan Orlovsky elaborated and actually added to that. If they were able to get LaFleur, what if they wind up bringing along a Malik Willis? I mean, I feel like the dude could actually be a franchise quarterback. He's certainly got the tangibles and maybe even intangibles to get the job done. He certainly acquitted himself well in the absence of Jordan Love down the stretch of the last few games of the regular season. So, to me, if that wound up being a situation that we saw, that's really can't miss. And I'd have a very, 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 very tough time believing that the Steelers wouldn't be front runners once again, not only just in the AFC North, but perhaps even the AFC as a whole, my Broncos included. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Art Rooney and company wind up going through their decision-making process. I feel like, again, I'd be really surprised if they didn't go after Mike McCarthy. I feel like that's got to be handing glove like no other. And I don't know. That one's just going to be really, really interesting to watch, along with obviously the Ravens. It seems as though there's something going as far as Kevin Stefanski is concerned. That one would also be very intriguing as well. So obviously, that division's not going to have any shortage of interest whatsoever. Not that it ever does, but gonna look forward to seeing how all of that works out. And then, of course, we got to talk about that main topic. We already brought it up. John Harbaugh, set to be the head coach of the New York Football Giants. And again, nothing is official yet, but I think it's only a matter of time before it's done. As mentioned, they're finalizing the deal. I mean, this just makes too much sense. You got, I believe, the number 3 to 5 pick in the draft. You've got an ace of a quarterback in Jackson Dart. You got a beast in Cam Scadaboo. I would, however, with that first round pick, point out that I would find it a very good idea that as long as he lands at that spot, Jeremiah Love, I think, is a move for the Giants. And if for no other reason, not even so much the fact that Cam Scadaboo got hurt, but I've said before, I'm a firm believer in the two back system. And really, if for no other reason, and all respect to Tyron Tracy, he's certainly serviceable at the very least. But the combination of Jeremiah Love and Cam Scadaboo is an awfully scary one when you get to thinking about it. And not only that, you got that kind of backfield firepower to match the likes of the Philadelphia Eagles. So for me, that's just the move I'd be making there. But I'm not in the Giants front office, so I'm not going to speak so much on that. But I do look forward to this being a real big turnaround season for the New York Giants. Not even so much just because of Harbaugh, but the way him and Jackson Dart are going to come together. And not to mention the fact that the defense is already, talent wise, one of the best in the league, from Brian Burns to, of course, Abdul Carter, amongst so many others. And even if they don't go Jeremiah Love with that pick, there are an awful lot of incredible defensive talents that are going to be coming into the draft this year. Maybe they get themselves a shutdown corner. I mean, the secondary could use a little help, I will grant them that. But outside of that, I mean, you're going to have one of the best teams in all of football in 2026 with the New York Giants. And it's just a real breath of fresh air, I think, that Giants fans have been looking forward to. They've gone through a handful of different coaches since the departure of Tom Coughlin, who actually brought the Giants 2 Super Bowls alongside Eli Manning. And really, ever since then, it just hasn't been so good. I mean, probably a little bit less than desirable, even though Dayball did have some success while he was there. Hopefully, he winds up getting a good OC job, particularly with the Eagles or even the Ravens for that matter. But I think Harbaugh is going to be the perfect hand and glove fit, as I mentioned before, for the, well, I probably didn't say that aspect of it. I was probably talking about the Steelers. But it's definitely hand and glove fit right here with Harbaugh and the Giants. And honestly, it just can't go anywhere but up for everybody out in the Meadowlands and the greater New York area. But either way, let me know what y'all think down below. Is this a good or a bad thing for the Giants? I don't know how it would be a bad thing, but let me know what y'all think down below. Of course, if you enjoy the content, like, share, and subscribe. And with that being said, this has been your time with A&J, and I thank you for spending it with me.